Welcome to another episode of the Better in Business podcast. I'm Jennifer Vanderwell. I'm stepping in for Jeannie Savage as your co-host. In today's episode, we're diving into the mindset and habit patterns that quietly shape the way we work, earn, and lead.
You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees.
Before we dive into today's episode, I want to quickly let you know that I'll soon be running a brand new series of workshops on how to start, grow, fix, or scale your business. In these sessions, you can expect to get real education. We'll diagnose the problems in your business, uncover the mistakes that might be holding you back, and most importantly, I'll show you how to scale in a way that's rock solid so that your business gives you both the income and time freedom you want and deserve. This isn't theory. I've got decades of experience scaling my own businesses and helping others do the same. I've supported a large enterprise through a $100 million scale up, helped a trade business move from 0 to 1 million profitability per year, and guided others through meteoric rises in their industries. Along the way, I've been honored to be recognized as a multi-award winning entrepreneur, including Australia's Women in Finance Innovator of the Year and Bookkeeper of the Year. If you'd like to join the waitlist for these workshops, then just send an email to hello@betterinbusiness.global with the word waitlist, and we'll make sure that you're the first to know when we are running these workshops. See you in the episode.
Today, we're joined by Amy Kemp, who's the CEO of Amy Kemp, Inc., certified habit finder coach and author of I See You, a guide for women to make more, have more, and be more without more work. Amy helps business owners identify and replace subconscious thinking habits that keep them stuck so that they can create more influence, income, and impact without adding more to their workload. Amy, welcome to the show. And for those who haven't met you yet, can you share a little about who you are and the work that you do?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm super excited to be here. I wish I was in your warm weather. I live in Chicago, or in the Chicagoland area. We're currently looking out my window at about 11 inches of snow. So we're in the thick of winter. And I'll paint a picture of life right now for me beyond work, which is that I have 5 basketball games to attend this week, along with some other sporting things. My kids are all involved in different types of athletics. So we are really busy. My husband is a coach and an assistant principal. Professionally, the work I do is sacred to me, and it is a part of a business that I started completely by accident 9 years ago. I thought what I was doing 9 years ago was just scratching an itch. I had many conversations with women I knew outside of my work. At that time, I was leading a huge sales team that was spread out around the country of about 1,000 people. And so I was developing people and I loved the work, and the team was performing exceptionally well. At the same time, I was having these conversations with women who were telling me that they were isolated, exhausted, overwhelmed, just feeling lonesome in the journey of being a professional woman or a business owner who is a woman, and really pressed in by all of the demands of their lives and their work. And I thought, if I could get these women together, that something magical could happen, that if they knew each other, that they could support each other and provide community for a very similar experience. And so it's a long story, but I was in Salt Lake City speaking at an event and met up with an old coach that I had worked with who used a tool called the Habit Finder. It's a tool that measures your subconscious habits of thinking. The work I did with this coach was transformational in my life and in my career. And then he had worked with many people within my organization. So I told him, I keep talking to all of these women who are having this experience. And he said, we're starting the certification process to use the Habit Finder on Monday. This was on a Thursday. I think that you should get certified and gather these women and walk them through it, walk them through the curriculum that corresponds with this tool. So I thought, sure, that sounds cool. Sounds kind of crazy. I've never thought about it. I wasn't planning on starting a coaching business, but I loved the idea. And I thought, I'll just scratch this itch and get it out of my system. I started with 2 groups of women. A few months later, I was actually leading my first groups as I was being certified. And it became a business that grew and exceeded my wildest expectations in terms of the speed of its growth and impact. And so currently, that's my full-time work. I use this assessment and curriculum to help people identify the subconscious patterns of thinking that are creating resistance in them getting what they want, that really are holding us back. And so it's a very unique tool and experience working with people in this kind of a deeper level.
That's so powerful. And you're so right. It's often the habits are so deep that it's not even conscious anymore. It is something that we're just doing without thinking it. And I know from personal experience that trying to break some of those habits, it isn't the easiest thing to achieve. So understanding that there actually is a way to do it and people out there that can help you do it is quite powerful. So you focus heavily on how habit shapes the results that we get for obvious reasons. But as a business owner who feels stuck, where should they start when it comes to understanding their own thinking patterns?
Yeah, I think first we just have to talk about the fact that everyone has a subconscious mind, and we need to really spend more time becoming aware of what's happening below the surface, because while we're not aware of it consciously, it's impacting the way that we connect with people. It's impacting our ability to see a process through from start to finish. It's impacting our ability to really embrace certain structures and policies and procedures, impacting everything, but we never talk about it. And we rarely even identify these habits of thinking. So the super cool part of the work I do is that the Habit Finder assessment, the actual tool that takes the snapshot of the subconscious thought, is free to take. So you can take it at my website, amykemp.com. It's just my name. And it will give you your results right away so that you can start to get a picture of what's even going on below the surface. Now, be warned, the first time I took it, I was a little irritated. I just thought, really? Like, how did it know that from that? And the more I dug in, the more I learned about this tool, and the more I had language to name what was happening, the more I realized, oh, this is intertwined in everything. This habit is showing up in a million different ways every single day. And I'm not even aware of it. But the starting point is just awareness. And the only way we can get that is by getting some feedback from either a tool or another human being. And I think it's a combination of both.
That sounds really great. It's a lot of those old sayings. It was a favorite poem of mine very long time ago. I can't recall the whole thing, but it talked about going for a walk down a road and there was a hole and you would fall in it. And then you'd walk down the same road and you kept falling in the hole. And then eventually you actually began to see the hole before you fell in it. You would still fall in it, but you would see it first. And then you went through the process of seeing it. And eventually over time, you were able to see it and move out of the way.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that, because today I was talking to this client and she absolutely knows what she needs to do. As just an example, in her business right now, it's a small business, very successful, but what she needs is better processes and procedures put into place. But she resists it because she wants the freedom of being an entrepreneur and doing what she wants to do, which there's a habit of thinking is called resistant. And it means that we resist structures and systems that don't make sense to us, which makes her a really great entrepreneur. The problem is then you become your own boss and you have that habit of thinking. You resist your own structures and your own procedures. And so it's very common for entrepreneurs to struggle. And just as a silly example, I work a lot with my clients on creating a 6 most important things list for their day, right? So it's in my book, but starting your day off with the 6 things that if nothing else gets done, you want these things done. So I created this beautiful format that you can actually download from my website for free to use for your 6 most important things. It has my logo. It's very beautiful, right? I don't want to follow that structure. So I put it on this ugly yellow piece of paper. Now, I'm still embracing the structure, but why don't you just use the form I created? It's a silly, funny example, but that's a really great example of how a habit of thinking, in one sense, can serve me because I'm not going to be inefficient. I'm going to find the fastest way to get from A to B. But that very same habit applied in a different context is ridiculous. Why do I not just embrace the structure that I created? It's because I have that deep groove in my brain. And so when I'm not consciously choosing, my brain will just go into that resistance.
That's so powerful. I think in our industry with finance, it's those scenarios where we're working with a tradie and the tradie has the worst plumbing if they're a plumber, or the electrical if they're an electrician, because they always put their stuff last, or they don't, like you said, follow the rules for themselves that they encourage in everyone else. Such a powerful story. In your book, which I have started reading, I'm not up to this yet, but you have a chapter in there called Money is a Mirror. What does that mean for an everyday business owner trying to grow their revenue?
Yeah. Money is such a fascinating entity. It has a lot of information for us if we pay attention to it and think of it as something that we have a relationship with. In business, I would say that you always earn what you believe you're worth, which is a really hard sentence. You don't earn what you want to earn. You don't earn what you logically think you should earn. You don't earn what your degree says you should earn. You earn what in your core you believe you are worth. So money is just something we give value to, and it reflects back to us our feelings, like our deeper internal feelings that we have about ourselves. In addition, when we give money the power to make us feel safe and secure or not safe and secure, when we give our power away to it, we tend to cause it to flee from us. Money moves with energy. So if you think about forming a relationship with a person, if you're needy, clingy, if you're scared, if you're constantly controlling, if you're very afraid that you're going to lose it, like you're going to lose someone, that tends to push people away from you. You tend to not form strong bonds with people and stay in relationship with them. So what we're looking for with money is the ability to let it move and to flow and to let it come in and go out without clinging to it or getting scared about it. So I use this example in the book. This is how I used to interact with money as an entrepreneur. Imagine there's an ocean and I'm on a surfboard. In the beginning of my career, I would be out in the waves. And then when revenue was good and money was coming in, I was on top of the wave, like so confident, having fun, laughing, riding this wave. But then when the revenue would go down, as it does in business, there's no business that over a long enough period of time doesn't experience a decline of some sort at some point. I would legitimately just crash into the waves and just be underwater, sputtering, terrified. And what I've learned over time is to swim to the shore, to get up on the beach, go buy one of those little cute chairs and an umbrella, and to watch the money from a distance. So from a distance, you can see there's no shortage of money. There's plenty of water in the ocean, right? From a distance, you can see that the money is supposed to move, that there are tides and it comes in and it goes out. And we trust that. We just trust that process. We also know there are storms, right? We just had a global pandemic. There are hurricanes. There are things that show up that are very disruptive. But there also is a restoration of normalcy after that over a period of time when you ride out the storm. And so when you sit from that vantage point as a business owner, it keeps you from emotionally riding the wave of the money, which then helps you to actually be able to attract and create more of it. But more than anything, it's a mirror of your own fears, your own insecurities, your own feeling of value. It's fascinating. It's probably one of my favorites to talk to people about.
As a numbers person myself, it absolutely screams to me. That story is so real because it is exactly what we see in business. Like you said, you have the highs, you have the lows. Occasionally you get dumped. It's going to happen, and that's okay. I loved your analogy of watching it from the shore. And what I found in actually doing that experience was also in realizing that there is so much need out there for the things that we offer that there isn't really any competition. So I love now that I'm in business, I'm working and coaching with other bookkeepers and supporting other bookkeepers to elevate themselves as well, because there's too many clients for me. There's too many clients for you, right? So the more we support each other up, the more we can achieve.
That is the same energy that attracts money to you, because it's this energy of there's more than enough, that there's no need to cling or be fearful. Now, I know what people are thinking right now because I've lived in the crunch times, and you're thinking, but I do have to pay my bills. Like, this sounds lovely. However, I do also have these bills sitting here that need to get paid, and there's no money. Here's what I'll say to you. That reality can be true, but are you more likely to attract the money you need to pay them from a space of calm, peaceful awareness and presence and confidence, or terror, fear, clinging, right? What is more likely to bring the money to you faster when you're talking to a potential new client? Are they going to pick up on that fear, which when you're talking to potential clients comes across as there's something wrong here, I don't trust that person, when you have that sort of desperate undertone, right? And so either way, regardless of how much money is in your bank account right now, you will be better served by getting on the beach and understanding and trusting that the money will come back in and letting it than by the fear and the terror and that kind of emotion.
Yeah, and trust is such a big part of it. I absolutely agree with that. Because you have to trust, you have to have the right people around you, which is where trust starts, of course. But then even if you get the right people around you, you have to trust that those people have got you while they're supporting you in the areas that they're supporting you. And it's not easy to let go. And I feel like going in as a business owner, something we all have to learn is at some point, if we want to build our business beyond ourselves, we have to learn to let go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you've coached over 400 female business leaders. Amazing. What patterns do you consistently see in the people who make real mindset shifts versus those who stay stuck? Because we all know that not everyone is coachable. And so there are areas that we often have the biggest resistance. So in those scenarios, is there some sort of consistency you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk about a couple of different things here. The first being, I've not seen anyone make a sustainable long-term shift in their subconscious habits of thinking alone, ever. Not once. We don't tend to change in isolation as human beings. We tend to grow and evolve when we are in community or in relationship with someone else who's holding us accountable. I'll give you just an example. A client that I was talking to today was telling me that she's read every book on time management. She's tried every system. She has a pile of planners on her desk. This is like a constant struggle. We've been talking a lot about her using power sessions and doing 30 minutes where she sets her timer and works on a larger project that feels overwhelming or daunting. only for 30 minutes and then stopping and giving herself a reward, like taking a short walk or going to get something to drink or spending some time scrolling on her phone if she wants to, or just something that gives her like a break. And even if she only does 2 or 3 of these power sessions in a day, but the point is there's a timer and it starts and it stops. And regardless, you start and stop. And she said, I'm doing it. This is amazing. And I'm leaving work so much earlier and I'm getting so much done. And these projects that were so daunting feel doable. And I said, what's the difference? And she's like, I don't know. And I said, you are reading books and listening to podcasts, which is exceptionally helpful, but you had no accountability. There's no one who's going to ask you, are you doing that thing? Right? I am loaded with accountability. So I would say that's something not just from a coach, but I have accountability from people who do my bookkeeping. I have accountability from my accountant. I have accountability from my family who's relying on the income I'm providing. There's just accountability all around people who appear to be very disciplined in their day-to-day routines. You look clearly at most people who are embracing structures at a high level like that, who you think of as, oh, they're so disciplined. If you dig a little bit deeper, what you'll find is that they're not actually more disciplined. They're just more accountable. Super important. And then I would say the other thing that causes these mindset shifts to stick and really stay is having realistic expectations from the start about how long it takes to change these habits of thinking. I have no interest in the quick fix. 1, it doesn't work. 2, for the most part, the places where we have resistance on the beach, you know, those metal detector wands that people walk around with, and then it like beep when there's something and you stop and you like dig down, and sometimes it's like a can, but sometimes there's money or something valuable. What I always say is wherever you are experiencing resistance, which is like, I know I should be doing this thing, but I'm not doing it. If you stop and dig down right there, what you always will find is unhealed pain, almost like always. So I see this so much with women around their bodies, right? We have a lot of trauma around our bodies, things that are happened to our bodies, feelings we have about our bodies. So when you are going to say, embrace this structure of exercise and eating this way and eat this way, like you're not going to. You will resist it. You may be able to sustain it for a short period of time, but until you dig down deep and figure out what's going on, you can't embrace the structure for a long period of time. So wherever you're experiencing resistance, for me, almost always it's around money. I will resist structure there, but I have some like really tough business experiences that happen financially, like financial trauma in quotation marks, I'll say. It was really difficult. And I don't want rigid structure there. I don't want to embrace that. So I have to be realistic about the pace of change in that area. I have to ease in and make small, slight changes. I give myself wide guardrails in areas where I have resistance. I don't try to embrace the budget where I know where every single penny has to be spent. No, but I do have a budget. I do have a framework. I do have a team that helps hold me accountable to that. But it has to be more gentle in those areas where we resist structure. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, what came up in the area of resistance is health. And I actually think a lot of people, money and health is the two really big factors. And I see it so much. And it's interesting because it's easier to hold someone else accountable than it is to hold yourself accountable. And that's why we need the structures around us and the team around us, because we actually can't be that for ourselves. Yeah, so true.
We're not supposed to be.
No.
It's anything where you have a relationship with it. So it's like health, money, time. Those are things where it's not like you say, I worked out today, good for the rest of my life. Those are things that for the rest of your life, you're going to be in a relationship with your body. For the rest of your life, you'll be in a relationship with money. For the rest of your life, you'll be in a relationship with food. These are the things that we interact with on a daily basis in a relational way. Those are the places where we try to set the New Year's resolution that's super, super rigid and very unrealistic. I have no interest in that. I want very small incremental change. And I want to make sure that it's partnered with deeper work of understanding why there's resistance there in the first place. And then gentle easing into structures that are very manageable to start, especially in the areas where we have strong resistance.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I like the way that you explained the fact that it isn't just one layer. There is the layer of the fact that you have to keep coming back to this. You have to do the incremental changes. You need to have the accountability partners. You need to have all those pieces of the puzzle together, because it's not one piece you're working on. It's a puzzle. So without all the pieces, it's not going to work.
This is the analogy I love. So if you had like a broken leg, you had unhealed broken leg, and then you tried to force yourself into the structure of training for a marathon, that's just ridiculous, right? What you would do is you would slowly work your way back, right? Where you would maybe introduce walking with a boot for a short period of time. And then maybe you would do some physical therapy, but you wouldn't go from broken leg to marathon training, which is essentially what we're doing to ourselves, going from unhealed pain to the most high level of rigid structure, right? Like, it's so ridiculous if you really think about it. But we would ease ourselves in if we were thinking about it in terms of like our body in that way.
I think also, I'm sure you would see this a lot too, but often the way that we treat and the expectations we have for ourselves is so different to what we would do for our best friend, our partner, the people that we love most. So one of the things in my own habit working that I tried to come back to actually is, would I have this same expectation of someone that I love? I had to come back to that because my expectation of myself was so unrealistic. Just like you said.
It's a beautiful way to be compassionate with yourself, but it's also the same technique of getting on the beach. You're getting yourself outside of your subconscious habit of thinking, using that as a tool. It causes you to shift into thinking about it with your conscious mind. And so then you have a fighting chance against the subconscious pattern.
Wow, that's a great tool. Your work obviously focuses very strongly on helping women, but the challenges you address, even the things we've discussed today, they're relevant for pretty much all business owners. What mindset tools and shifts apply universally, no matter of the industry or gender?
Well, a little secret, they all do. It really isn't gender specific, the subconscious habits of thinking, without question. And it's funny, I've had a lot of men read my book and say, this is great for me. What surprise. And I kind of chuckle and I said, have you noticed that every other business book is written for you? And I still read them and get a lot of value.
Absolutely.
They're just so unaccustomed to a book not being written for them that it feels strange. So I always chuckle about that. But one thing I would say around just habits of thinking is that men tend to cope with them differently than women do. Again, that's a vast generalization. Everyone has a different gender experience growing up, so it's not always the same. But men tend to compensate for these subconscious habits of thinking that create resistance by bravado and acting more confident than they are and pushing through. Whereas women might shrink, become invisible, hide. They would go more to flight than fight, right? Like the general responses to them, but the habits of thinking are the same underneath the surface. And it's the same stuff that's happening.
And the tools and resources are the same as well, wouldn't they? It's just that the way that you would coach with someone like that and the way that their brain works, you may have to adapt what you're doing to the way that they think.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I think specifically my work has focused on women because those are the people I have always worked with for my entire career. Their life experience has some similarities that I speak to specifically in the book, but the work, the impact of subconscious habits of thinking absolutely knows no boundaries. Because all of us are hardwired to survive. These habits of thinking are there because at some point they helped you survive. The problem is when you employ a survival mechanism past the point of needing it, it becomes detrimental and damaging. And so all of those survival mechanisms will fight against you when you don't need them to survive anymore. But they're there for a good reason. At some point, they did help you. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just that they're now holding you back.
Amazing. All I can say is thank you so much for joining me today, Amy, and for sharing such practical insights as to how our thoughts and habits shape the way that we show up There's a lot here for every business owner to act on, and the resources on your website as well. So if you'd like to learn more about Amy's work or dive deeper into her book, which I highly recommend, she also has a lot of coaching programs on the website, and you're going to find all the links to those in the show notes.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time well, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.